going to start with our piece of corrugated plastic. And the first thing we're going to do is make a little notch for the rubber band for launching. So we measure 3 centimeters back from the nose of the plane. 1, 2, 3, make a little dot. And then we measure up 0.6 centimeters at an angle towards the front of the plane. Doesn't matter exactly the angle, but slightly tilted towards the front of the plane. 0.6 centimeters from there to there. Let me go back down to here, and we measure from that 3 centimeter mark, we go another 0.5 centimeter down the plane, and then we make a triangle from this spot to that spot. Okay, and that's the part we're going to cut out. So we take our special scissors and we snip it like this, and then snip it like that. And that's where the rubber band's going to hook on when it's time to launch it. And we're going to make the main wing. Now the main wing turns out to be 30 centimeters long, which is exactly how long this paper is. So we just have to measure 6 centimeters down each side. 6 centimeter mark there, and a 6 centimeter mark here. And we connect the dots. Draw that line. And cut out our main wing. Okay, now we're not done with that. We have to find the center mark. So we'll start here by putting the ruler down, and half of 30 is 15. So we'll put a little dot here, 15 centimeters. And then we make little marks 0.3 centimeters or 3 millimeters to the right. 1, 2, 3 millimeters are the tiniest little marks on the ruler. And then 1, 2, 3 millimeters to the left. And then we'll go up to the top. We'll put a mark at 15 again, the center. And then a little mark at 1, 2, 3 millimeters or 0.3 centimeters to the right. And 1, 2, 3 millimeters to the left. Now, we connect those lines on the left. And now we're going to crease it. So we're going to press really hard with a ballpoint pen 3 or 4 times. And then we'll do the same thing on the right. And make crease marks. That will allow us to bend the plane, the main wing, into a dihedral angle. So just a little bit of pressure here down with the ruler while you bend the wing up, and you have 2 angles and a flat part in the middle. So it should look something like this. That's your dihedral angle. Okay, now we're not done with the main wing. We have to make the ailerons now. So to do those, we make a mark 1.3 centimeters up, and then we make a mark 5 centimeters long, and then do 1.3 centimeters again. 1, 2, 3, and draw a line, and then we'll connect this point with that line, and we'll do the creasing again. Press down hard 3 or 4 times. Now we trim this line with the scissors just to there. And now we have an aileron that can be bent up or down. Now we'll do the same thing on the other side. We'll measure 1.3 centimeters up and 5 centimeters long. Make a mark, and then go 1.3 centimeters. Draw a line. that's for cutting, and then this line is for creasing. So we go back and forth, pressing hard with the ballpoint pen 3 or 4 times, cutting this part, turning this into an aileron, a flap that moves. Okay, now we get to label the parts here. So this is the main wing. This is an aileron. And this is an aileron. Now we have to put our names on the plane. So I'll put Mr. Root and my partner Thor. Okay, so now we know it's our plane. Okay, the next step is to put some camber into our wings. And that's where we have a little bit of bend in them. So we'll put our 4 fingers underneath the wing like this and our thumbs on top. And we'll round the wing a little bit. That's putting some camber into it. It's not a lot. When you look down at it, it's just a slight curve like that. And we'll do it on both sides. 4 fingers and thumbs. You don't want to do this too much. More is not better in this case. Just a slight amount of bend like that. Okay, I think our main wing is done. We can set that aside. Now we have to make the wing supports. So we'll get our ruler and our pen again. And we need 2 supports, each 2.5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. So I'm going to measure 2.5 centimeters here. And I'm going to measure and cut for both wing supports. So I'm going to measure 10 centimeters here. And then I'm going to do the 2.5 again this way. And now I'll connect this line, and this is 10 centimeters, but each support is only 5 centimeters long. So I'll make a little mark here at the 5 centimeter mark, and another mark here at the 5 centimeter mark, and connect the dots. And now I've made 2 wing supports. And now I do my cutting all at once. Save some time that way. So here's one of them, and here's the other. Okay, set that aside, and now we have our wing supports. Now, here we can do a little estimating. I'm going to estimate the center of this wing support. I'll put a little mark here and a little mark there, what I think is the center. And then I'll connect those lines with a crease. So I'm going to press hard 3 or 4 passes. And I'm going to bend this thing so we end up with, we don't want 90 degrees. We want it to be a little bigger than that. We want to about 105 so we can have our dihedral angle on the main wing. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to put a little crease in the center by putting a mark here, a mark there, drawing that line back and forth 3 or 4 times, bending this one out. So again, it's a little bit greater than 90. We're looking for about 100, 105. Okay, so now we have our 2 main wing supports. Now we have to put them on the fuselage. So to do that, we have to mark a spot here 7.5 centimeters back from the nose of the plane. And that's where our main wing supports are going to go. They're going to get glued on like this on both sides. So once I have this ready to go, I'll get it into place, put a bead of hot glue on it. I don't want to go all the way to the ends because I don't want it to run out from underneath the cardboard and affect my aerodynamics. And I glue it to the top of the fuselage so the crease is level with the top of the fuselage. That looks pretty good, just like that. Okay, now I'm going to do the other side. So I'll flip it around. This one's going to go here. So I'll lay it out, put some glue in place. Need another hot glue stick. Put some glue in place. And work quickly so the glue doesn't cool. Okay, so that one is lined up on the other side. And I think we have our dihedral angle pretty good. Yeah. So now I have to glue the main wing onto the wing supports. So I'm going to put glue on this piece of cardboard, on this piece of cardboard, glue in there, and in the center. And if there's a little trough in the center of your fuselage like some of them have, you have to add a little extra glue so it's sticking up above the trough. So that when you add your main wing, centered over the wing supports, it'll get glued down to the fuselage. So that looks pretty good. I think I have it centered. I can press from underneath the wing supports into the main wing and check to see that I kind of lost my dihedral angle, so I'll push it back up a little bit. When the glue is dried, then I can maintain my dihedral angle. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's pretty good. I got it. Definitely got an angle going there. Okay, let's set that aside for a moment. And let's build a horizontal stabilizer. Now this one needs to be 4 centimeters by 13 centimeters. Make a mark here. And then we'll do 4 centimeters this direction. Draw that line. Connect these lines. And we can cut that out with the scissors. All right, set that cardboard aside. Now we're not done with this. We got to find the center mark like we did with the main wing. So this was 13, so half of that is 6.5. And then we have to go 3 millimeters, 0.3 centimeters, 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3 millimeters to the left. Then do the same thing at the top. Find the center mark, 6.5, 1, 2, 3 millimeters to the right, 1, 2, 3 millimeters to the left. Now we combine these lines, but we don't have to crease them because we're not going to be bending the horizontal stabilizer. This is just so we can line it up straight on the fuselage. Okay, now we have to create the elevators. So they are 1.3 centimeters, 1.3, which is here, by 5 centimeters, which is here. And then we go 1.3 again. Draw that line. And then combine that mark with the top of that line. Now this is where we have to crease, because that's where it's going to bend. So we press hard, 3 or 4 passes. And then, like we did on the main wing for the aileron, we're going to cut here. And now we have an elevator that moves up or down. Now we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So again, we do 1.3 centimeters by 5 centimeters. And now 1.3 centimeter line. And then connect these 2 marks. And we press hard, 1, 2, 3, 4 times to get a crease. Cut this line so we can have some movement of this flap up and down. All right, so now we're going to label what we've done here. We've made a horizontal stabilizer and 2 elevators. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we get to glue it on to the fuselage. So we want to make a mark with our Sharpie 1 centimeter from the back of the plane, because we don't want it all the way to the back. So I'm going to do it like this. 1 centimeter, make a mark. And then I'm going to put the horizontal stabilizer in place and mark the front of it. So now I know where to put the glue between those 2 marks. So I get my glue gun, fill in this gap. If you've got a deep gap, make sure you fill it all in and then keep going so you've got some flowing over the top, so there'll be something for the cardboard to stick to. And then you, just like we did on the main wing, you stick it into place here and line it up so it's a straight line. That looks pretty good. Okay, looks good. Let's even out that little bit extra glue bubble. Okay, so now that's in place. Now we get to set this aside and we'll make the vertical stabilizer. So get our cardboard back out. And our first mark will be 2.5 centimeters long. And then we'll go down this way 7.5 centimeters and make a mark. And then we'll go across this way 5 centimeters. And we'll draw a line here. Now we connect the end of that 5 centimeter line to this 2.5 centimeter mark to complete the shape of our vertical stabilizer. Now we're going to have to add the rudder into place. So we're going to make a mark 2 centimeters in from the edge and 2 centimeters in from the edge down here. And this is the crease line, so we have to press really hard on this one. 2, 3, 4. And we're not done. We have to make another mark 2 centimeters up from the bottom on both sides so we can connect those lines. And this is where we're going to cut the paper so the rudder can move back and forth over the fuselage. But now we have to cut the whole thing out. So, like this, and then go like this. Now we have our vertical stabilizer, so we're going to label this vertical stabilizer with the rudder, which will help us turn left and right. Now we get to glue this into place. So we bring our plane back, and it's going to go right here on the side, just in front of the horizontal stabilizer, and high enough so the rudder can feel free to move back and forth over the fuselage. So put a bead of glue across here, and glue this into place, checking to make sure the rudder is free to move, and it is. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, now we're almost done. Some finishing touches. We have to write the word fuselage down here on the fuselage. That looks pretty good. And then we need to trim the nose of the plane into a triangular shape or pointed shape so we can attach the clay. So we're going to start at the top and work our way down towards the bottom, about a 45-degree angle. That looks good. And then we're going to take our 5-gram ball of clay, and what we'll do is I'm going to flatten it out a little bit, make it into kind of a rectangle like that, and then we'll wrap it around the nose like that, and we can go up over the top, no problem, but we don't want to go underneath the bottom. We don't want clay at the bottom of the fuselage because it'll interfere with the launching if it is clay rubbing up against the launch pad. So we'll keep it away from the bottom, just a slight amount, but wrap it around the top and the sides all the way so it's nice and smooth. Try to make it equal amounts of clay on both sides of the plane so it's not out of balance. Okay, so that should stick pretty well. Let's see what else we have to do. Oh, we have to check the center of gravity. So we'll get a pencil and put it on the table, and we're going to try to balance the plane. If we set it here, the nose drops down. If I set it here, the tail drops down. So we want to find that spot like the center of a teeter-totter. And it's right, it's hard because it tends to want to fall left and right. So you have to support it a little bit. And it seems to be right about here where it's centered, yeah, front and back. And it turns out that spot is underneath the main wing, which is perfect. That's where you want your center of gravity, right underneath the main wing. So it looks like we did everything right. Okay, good. So now, let's see. Here's how you're going to launch the plane. You're going to pinch it in the back here, on this little bit we left sticking out of the back of the fuselage. But be careful when you do this, you don't push into the horizontal stabilizer or hit the elevators while you're doing that, because it'll affect your flight. So we'll pinch like this. We'll hook the rubber band under the nose and pull the thing back and release it. Now, I would recommend on your first flight you don't do anything with your rudder, elevators, or ailerons. You keep them all neutral, not up, not down. And then after your first flight, you can adjust. If it nosedives, you need to raise your elevators. If it goes up too high, you need to lower your elevators. Left, right, etc. Adjust the rudder and your ailerons as necessary. Okay, good luck.